My name is Karina Groombridge, and I am so excited to be here with you tonight. Tonight we will be hosting Shawna Beckman. I am super excited to have her on tonight's episode because she is not only a genius at sales, but she is killing it with 5 kids. 5. I give myself excuses, I know 3. So I am super pumped to be welcoming her and chatting with her tonight. If you have got any questions for us, then please drop them in the chat box. Oh, and I see Shawna, you are with me. Just give me 1 second and I will add you. All right. You made it. You did make it. Yay! Okay, you should be getting a notification that is going to let you connect on.
All right.
Hello.
I'm just kind of getting this set up because the positioning was a little funny. How are you?
Good.
You look amazing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. This is what happens when you do your hair.
Yes, I totally know.
Yes. So how are you?
Let's see. Oh my gosh, so good. Everybody's in the other room, so hopefully they'll leave us alone.
Does that work?
I'm super excited to what? Not really.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm super excited to do this with you. So what do you have going on tonight? Where is everyone? Because you're Eastern time.
I am. All of my children are theoretically in bed, but not very happy about it. So I'm hoping my headphones are not going to be so good and they won't pick up the screaming children, but we will see. Yeah. Hubby's on duty right now. So, oh,
good deal. I wanted to just share this too, so that way my audience can jump in, because I know that this is actually kind of a sweet time to do live. So I'm hoping that we get a good turnout.
Excellent. Oh, and hello, Danielle. Sean, I don't think you can see the comments coming through, but Danielle has joined us. Good evening. All right. So while you share, I just want to give everyone who's watching like a little bit of background on this. So MomBoss Life is a Facebook Live series that I put together to showcase moms who are running a business as well as running their family. And it's tough. It's a lot of work. It takes a lot of work to grow a business and as well to, you know, take care of tiny humans. So this is something that I feel that a lot of the business people out there don't really focus on, don't really chat about, because you know, you're focused on the business and building your business, but as a mom, as a parent, you don't have all the time in the world. Like something comes up, you are on mommy duty, and that's life. That's how it works, and that's all right. And it doesn't mean that you can't have it all, so to speak, and it doesn't mean that you can't grow your business and take care of your clients and take care of your family and yourself all at the same time. So thank you so much for joining us, Shawna. I'm so happy to have you. And I would love to hear more about you and, you know, how you managed to do it all, because seriously, I'm super curious. I want to know. So for starters, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Shawna. I'm actually from the Midwest. I grew up in Minnesota my whole life. I actually born and raised there, went to college there, bought a house there. And my husband got a job and we ended up relocating to the East Coast, where he was there for like 3 years. And then we just moved to Alabama. So now we're here in Alabama with our 5 kids, 7 and under, where I run a do for you and done with you sales service. Yeah, it's really awesome. So yeah, I'm not really that interesting. I'm probably a lot like you. I just like to hang out, like, you know, like I just have some kids and like, you know, coach women through some sales stuff. And I live a pretty sort of average, normal life, if you will. You know, I drink and eat and have fun and read and, you know, have a messy house.
So. Yes, I should make that part of my questions to ask moms, because personally, my house is not clean. Clean is a new standard now. So yes, I'm very curious to know like how people manage and do it all. And because I mean, I don't know about you, I don't do it all. Yeah, I do the important stuff and the stuff that makes me happy. And that's really what I focus on. And I'm pretty sure you do the same for yourself. So how does it work to be working and raising the kids? I know you have an older kid, your daughter's 7, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And so that means like in school, but also in daycare too. Are your kids in daycare or?
No, they're
Okay.
not. A couple of them are in preschool. One is in kindergarten. One is, they're all kind of spread
Okay.
out. So one is the youngest and 7 is the oldest. So a couple are in school, and then I'm with the 2 little ones during the day. And then depending on their schedule and when they're getting home, it comes in
Oh,
variations.
okay.
So
Okay, so then how do you manage to work and, do your stuff during the day with the two little ones at home?
yeah, absolutely. So my business is really centered around sales. And when I say sales, the part of the sales that I'm emphasizing are conversations. So there was a point at, like, okay, here's a really great example. Imagine that you have to build an email list. Okay, you're building an email list, and the industry standard, I mean, depending on which industry you're in, you're looking at a 3% buy rate. Okay, so but before people even purchase, you have like, 30% are even clicking on your email, okay? And 50%, if you're lucky, are even going to open your email. So then you have to spend all this time building your list. So when I had a cleaning company in the past, and basically when I moved into the online business world, I was supposed to be doing all this stuff, right? And it caused a lot of stress because I have a lot of kids. So how am I supposed to make this work? And my mentor at the time had said, Shawna, you have an email list of 900 people. Imagine if you just talked to like a couple of them. Do you think you could sell something? And I was like, well, yeah, of course I could. And she goes, exactly. So you use the tools and you use the tools later as leverage after you've maxed out like the one-to-one interaction. So like if you're on the go and if you're busy and you have a lot of kids, it's really important that you make your work a normal extension of your life, because you can't separate it. You literally cannot separate it. And the people who are separating them are men who who aren't at home with 5 kids, right? So women often get this image of success that is based on men. Like, we don't need to follow how men have success. We can have our own definition of success. And for me, that is specifically making sure that my business is a normal extension of my life.
I love that.
So
That's amazing.
not that I yeah, so it's not that I treat every single customer, every single new contact that I meet out and about as a customer that I have to sell to, but I do treat people like people that when we meet, we can make our lives richer, right? Either there may be something that they need or connection that they can have, or behind them is an entire network of people that I don't have access. So this is how I can like make my business fly, right? Is because I'm always on the fly. I'm always on the go. There's always something to do or someone to talk to or a new person to meet. And so that's really how I've been able to sort of like navigate a business and have children, is I just really treat my business as a natural extension of my life, if that
It
makes sense.
does, and I love it. I know I've watched your lives and you give such great value, and then you see a kid like wandering through the background and you totally unfazed. You keep going. You're good. So I love the focus and the concentration. I assume that just comes with, the chaos that is life and having to like keep up with the business while taking care of the kids as well. So I love it. It's amazing.
Yeah, and this just goes like back to like a parenting philosophy that like we have a big family because we love children, and like children are people. And so for me to run my business like they don't exist, or like they can't like talk, like they can't ask me a question, like the whole point of me having this like work at home business is like because of them. And so like why would I resent that? And that actually happened, like that, like as ambitious women, as ambitious go-getters, and I'm sure that, and I know that you are too, that when you're ambitious, you lose a lot of peace of mind, right? Like if you're ambitious, you lose peace. Okay, like you just it's hard because it feels like you can't accomplish what you want to run when it feels like you've got a ball and chain, right? Like you've got all these kids slowing you down. And also from a spiritual standpoint, I believe that like God won't be able to bless my business if I'm resenting my children that he's given me, right? So like I think they gotta come along for the ride. Like, they gotta come along for the
Nice.
ride. And so that's kind of how I've been able to approach this kind of crazy season of them being so young and still navigating a business.
Amazing. I love it. I just wanted to say hi to a couple of guests we have joining us. Kim and Mike are watching, so hello, hello, and Vicky as well. Very nice to see you all. So Shawna, I want to know, how did you, when did you decide that you wanted to start your business? Like, how did you come to that realization that you wanted to go off and do your own thing?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would love, I've been working since the age of 12. Like I love work and I would happily work for like a really great company or like a good company culture. And I ended up getting this job where I was asking people for tissue donation, like moments after their loved ones have died. And I love that job and I talk a lot about it because I use that experience to help people navigate the sales talk, like how to navigate awkward parts of the conversation. But in that job, I actually had a really bad boss, like the worst boss ever. And at the same time, I was sitting behind a desk and I was just like, I don't want to sit here all day. So I started cleaning. I started just picking up cleaning jobs. And it took me 11 months for me to have enough cleaning to like to bring in what my like office job was bringing in, right? And so there was like this dramatic moment at work with like HR and my boss, and I was like, I'm out of here, bitches.
I can
So
see that. I can definitely see that.
so I ended up leaving, and it was just sort of like I knew that it was worse for me to stay than it was for me to leave, and I had kind of built up enough work that it was relatively safe for me to leave at that time. But even then, it was super stressful. Because
I just wanted to ask about your kids. Did you have your kids at that point? Okay.
Yeah, Jane was like a year and a half. I was pregnant with Elaine. John was in school, and we had to we burned through our savings to cover like healthcare and insurance, and like it was nuts. And so I literally was cleaning houses up until the delivery, and then even 2 weeks after I had given birth to Elaine. Like it was insane. And so that's also one thing to consider too. Like when you are building your business, there's kind of like this season of like, I'm up really early, I'm super stressed out, I'm up super late, and so that was that time for me. And now 5 years later, sleep is like one thing that I won't really sacrifice, maybe like once a week. So
amazing. I love to hear that.
yeah, but so just going back to your point, is like there was a point where I knew that it was worse for me to stay where I was than for me to, it was worse for me to stay in with this horrible boss than to just go do my own thing. I was taking a bet on myself, really. And I think that's a point for a lot of people, because I know that's pretty common, right? Where they just feel like, okay, I'm ready to make this bet on myself.
Yeah, well, I find usually you have to get yourself to a point of like being totally fed up with your other option, which like I know for me right now, I'm doing a 9 to 5 job as well, and for me, like my work, it's not that bad. I mean, I've worked with good people, I have a good boss, like there's nothing really that I can complain about there, except that I don't love it. So like I'm not quite in that boat, but it still takes a lot of mental energy and courage to say, okay, well, it's good, but it's not enough for me. Like it's not enough. So definitely there's like both ends of the spectrum there on what's more important, like what's more important to you, your passion or your security and, well, dealing with whatever may come up in your own like in work life.
I think that this is a really interesting topic, and I'd like to get your opinion about it. Like how do you do that after you've had kids? You know what I mean? Because like my husband would love to pursue some other stuff, but it's like, how do you take that level of risk when you have so much responsibility? Especially with employers that like take insurance. Like it might be one thing to be, you know what I mean? Now that we've got 5 kids, it's like you can't mess around with that. You can't like not be without security, right?
I guess right now you're getting security, so to speak, from his employment.
Yeah.
Have you guys looked into like what other options there are? Because I gather that he might want to.
No, I mean, and I'm just sort of like hypothetically giving like a scenario, but I think speaking to what you're saying about how like you've got this like relatively good job, and like you're not sure what to do. In the same sense, like people can feel that with their own like job
Mm-hmm.
security, right? Like I've got responsibilities, I can't take risks. So how do you help people navigate like when it's time to take a risk?
Well, I think it really depends on the person and what that level of risk it means to them, right? And I know there's an amazing quote that Tony Robbins always says, and it's if you want to take the island, you burn the bridges, or burn your boats, I should say.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things like from a logical perspective, I completely get it. You have to cut out all other options, but as a mother, as a parent, as a person responsible for other humans, like for me, that's not an option. Like I wouldn't just up and quit because I don't have that security or I guess my business isn't at a point where I'm like, okay, I'm comfortable to just leave. And so I think you have to figure out what that comfort level is for you because it's different for everybody, right? Like for example, when
Yeah.
you left your job and went into the cleaning business, like that's a big leap. I understand that at the time you probably had your husband's um, job, but at the same time, like you're still taking that leap yourself. So that's like one little portion of it. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I sometimes, and this is like a little bit off topic, but I sometimes feel like as mothers, like one thing that is really important to me that I need to constantly hear is that like I have time. Like, because I feel like I'm always running out of time, and that is like my biggest fear. Like I'm not gonna be able to make it. I'm not gonna be able to get to what I want. I'm not gonna be able to do all the things that I want to do. Like I don't have enough time. And I have to tell myself the truth that I do have time and that there is enough time. And so I'm just thinking about this in terms of if anybody is listening and they're feeling like I have all this responsibility and there's nothing that I can do. I just want to reassure you that you in fact have time, because that like you do. Like if it, like I said, it took me 11 months for me to build my business where I could end up leaving. I mean, now I have the sales coaching business. This was the first one, but like this stuff naturally takes time, and sometimes it can feel like when you're on the internet like everything is an overnight sensation.
yes, that is what people may like give the impression of, but definitely not the case if you really start to dig, most likely with most people. But I really love that the time factor because there's some people who may look at time and like you said say I don't have time for this, I don't have time for that, and others may see it as okay, well I'm going to make time. And for me, I make it a point to say I'm going to make the time for the things that are important. So
Yeah, and that's the other thing. That's the other thing about how how you asked me how I do it is like I have a really, really clear understanding of what is in fact important to me.
amazing.
Right? Is it like getting my clients results, or is it folding laundry?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you can't move forward in power, a lot of times it's because you don't have the clarity of your priorities. And going back to what you said in the beginning too, like having just a couple priorities, not everything is level one priority,
Yes.
right? And whatever you don't get to today, like just make it at the top of tomorrow. And so that's how I'm able to like steadily take care of my clients, is like, okay, I get through this list and who's ever at the bottom is first tomorrow. And so it just sort of, it allows me to be flexible enough with my family. And sometimes I'll be totally honest, like some things like take a week. like some
Yeah.
things actually take a couple extra days. You know what I mean? Like if your kids are sick or if you're sick and down and
Yeah,
out, like
very true.
it sometimes it takes a couple days. And again, like you're operating on a whole different level of success that we're just not taught, because it comes from men. And men, I'm not saying like men are the enemy, but like their definition does not fit anything near the reality of our lives.
Yes, that's very true. And Kim had given us a comment just before. She says, I think the level of financial security provided in your 9 to 5 also makes a difference. It's quicker to replace an income of $25,000 a year job than versus $100,000 a year. Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I mean, it's a lot bigger scale in that case. So, you're going to take a lot more structure or planning to like make sure you're at the level that you want to be at.
Yeah, and it's interesting too, like how much risk like you and your spouse are able to take. Like I
Yes.
actually listened to a webinar too about a guy who was like, I couldn't quit my job until I was at like $50,000 a month, and his wife was like perfectly fine at like 10,000. And so sometimes there's like a level of risk that you have to work out with your family
Yep.
because some of us are bigger risk takers than
It's
others.
very true. And if you're at the opposite ends of the spectrum, you're going to need to have a lot of discussions going into that to
Yeah.
make it
Oh
work.
yeah, that's totally me. Like I have no problem moving in with my mom. Like we can say, "I'll go there."
Yeah.
Like it's totally fine if we don't have any money.
Nice, nice. And I'm guessing your husband is going, not happening.
Yeah, basically,
Nice.
yeah. He's a calculated risk taker.
No kidding. Okay, so I would love to know, um, so in having your own business, is there anything that you've had to give up to have your own business?
That's a really great question. So just to kind of catch people up to speed, right? I had my cleaning company. I eventually sold it, and I ended up with a move and a bunch of kids. I wanted a location independent job. And so I started dabbling in online marketing and hired my first coach and started coaching women through the sales talk. So that's what you see now is this sales business that I have. And I think the hardest thing that I feel like I lose by starting my own business is just feeling like I'm always chasing a moving target. Like I never, ever, ever feel satisfied. Like, I mean, talking about getting to the bottom of the list, like there's always
There's no
something to
bottom.
do. You know what I mean? I mean, like, if you got a nice office job, I mean, you know, and I was just sort of doing reception work and stuff after college, but like, if you get done with your stuff at the end of the day, I mean, you sort of take on an extra project, but you might be able to get to go home
Yeah.
early, right? And it's like, I feel like having my own business, I literally never get to the end. And it makes me feel like I'm never accomplishing anything,
Okay.
right? And we feel like this as mothers too. Like this is, and on top of that, the stress of motherhood of like, it goes years and years and years of laundry and dishes and like laundry, like whatever it is, like that's basically it. Like you're like in this tunnel of like responsibilities and demands and milk. And it's like, you know, milk and, you know, whatever, Cheerios, whatever else they need. And it feels like you're never getting anywhere. Like it feels like it's going to be an eternity of like never moving forward. And so, but that's not true because we know that if we can really focus in on a couple priorities every single day, a year from now, you're going to look back and say like, wow, look at how much I actually accomplished. But day to day, it looks like nothing. So when you ask me like, what do you do? It's like, I have no clue. Like, but I can only look back, right? And so I think that's another really important thing is that sort of peace of mind has been hard for me.
Okay. Is there something that you do to celebrate your wins? Because I know that's a really important one. Even like big or small, it doesn't really matter, but just like something to celebrate those wins.
No, not really.
Ah.
I'm horrible at that. I'm horrible. No, I am never satisfied. Which, you know, that's how we met, you know, I mean, we met through the mastermind, and it's like, I needed that, you know, for that reason, because I feel like I have nothing worth celebrating, and that's not true.
That's definitely
right?
not
We know
true.
that that's not true.
And I guess
But yes,
that's a great lesson for everybody listening in is to celebrate those wins. Because Shawna, like you said, that list it keeps going. There's no end to it. So it's really so important to recognize when you've accomplished things and just to sit back and go like, yes, I did this, and really give it, you know, the acknowledgement, the priority to say I did it, and you know, I'm going to take a 5-minute break, or I'm going to go have a glass of wine, or whatever it is for you. So
yeah,
yes.
Absolutely. Thank you for the reminder. That's good for everyone listening, including myself.
So I would love to hear more. You've kind of like talked about it a little. I want to hear more about your genius zone and sales, and any tips or tricks you have for us, because we have other mom bosses watching. So I'd love, you know, if you could share with them the important things that you feel that they need to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I told you I hired my first business coach, That was a couple years ago. And I basically said, like, I've got all these kids. I can't really get it. Like, I can't go to work. I said, but I love business. I've had my own business. And I said, so what can I do? Like, this is sort of all the things that I've done. And she sort of looked at the list and she's like, well, it's sales. And I was like, what? I don't think so. Like, that's really what we're going to create out of this. And I spent the next year really honing in on that gift. Like, what was I good at? Like, what was this? Like, what do I do with this? And just to recap, I was a telemarketer. So we were looking sort of for a pattern in my experience, right? I was a telemarketer. I approached families for tissue donation. I had those conversations on the phone. I had a year of sexual assault crisis hotline work. I love talking on the phone. I love my friends. Like, I would seriously sit down and I'd be like, I want to know the company for this bag. I want to know this company for this pop. I want to know this company for the shoes. And I wanted to sell for them. Like, I would literally search jobs for brands to be their salespeople. So when she said sales, I spent the next year sort of honing in on that gift and just sort of seeing how my work resonated with people. And they were like closing deals and making money. And they were like, oh my gosh, you're amazing. I was like, oh my gosh, really? Like, this really works. And so then I started to make a business out of that, essentially, right? Like, I narrowed in on my zone of genius, which is helping people navigate the sales talk. And so how we've been taught is that you think that sales is something that you do to people, right? Like, you persuade them, you kind of like, you know, you use particular language, and it's all about manipulation and closing the deal. And like, you know, you got, you know, like it's all this, it's all sort of this kind of style of sales that like turns away a lot of women. And so when I was doing all, you know, when I had all this experience on the phone, we learned that, I mean, they would never say what we did was sales, but I learned that you're still helping people come to a decision. You're making sure that you're getting to the truth about what they want, what their family wants, like what happened. And so you're putting truth on the table. And then after you've done that, after you've earned their trust, you're literally then just giving like a recommendation, right? You're helping them come to a decision. You're helping them remove fear. You're helping them remove any inconvenience. Like, you're helping them get what they really, truly want. And a lot of people don't know what they want. So that's exactly what you do with sales, right? You help sort of get clarity around their problem. What do they want? And then how can you give a recommendation to your offer, right? That makes the most sense to them. And so my zone of genius is actually helping people navigate the conversation about what they sell in a feel-good way. Because when you're talking about a personalized service, like you're very intimate with life coaching or like photography for Katie, who's on here, who does documentary style, like all this really personal approach, it can feel weird if we're taught that sales is something that you do to people. Like, you back them into a corner and it's like flashy and loud, right? But if we can really create this heart-centered approach of like, what do you got going on? What kind of family photos do you normally do? Have you ever thought about this style? Like, this is why it's really awesome, because it's going to help you get this particular outcome, which I know that you already want because you told me XYZ. So what do you think about we hold your date for this appointment in December so you can have the pictures of, you know, like blah, blah, blah. So it's really, that's been my zone of genius. So it really is just helping people navigate the conversation so they feel good about it, and in return, like, the deals feel easier for them to close.
Oh, that's amazing. I love it.
Sorry, that was kind of like a lot. I feel like I just
No, that's perfect. That's perfect. And especially for our audience, like for women, I mean, it's one thing to have your genius zone in whatever that is, be it photography or coaching or whatnot. But a lot of people, when it comes to sales, they get to the end of that conversation and go, you should really buy my stuff because I can help you. And then, you know, that's that. And clearly they're not getting across how they can help.
Marketing sells you this message that if people want it bad enough, they're going to buy. But how many of you have like an Amazon wish list that has been like a list for like a year, or an Etsy list that's been like 4 years, right? There's stuff that you want all the time that you're not going to buy. You're not going to buy it, right? So sales is like the personal application of the desire. And so you can't apply that from like a heart-centered approach unless you actually see your customers, right? Like, that's important, right? And so that's all we're doing here, is we're making sure that we find a need and then fill it. And you know who's the best at that? Women are the best at that. Like, we are so good. I can't even tell you, like, out of all the kids I've had, the best friends who have come and like cleaned my house, brought me food, brought me gifts. I gave birth to Mary, and my friend shows up with Shake Shack and champagne. Like,
so smart.
Women are the women are the only ones who can find a need and fill it, and that's exactly what sales is. And so it's like my mission. It's literally my zone of genius to help you create good work that feels really good for both you and your customers. And you don't have to like trick them or persuade them or try to influence them to do something that they don't want to do. It's never about that. But if you don't have that sales conversation, if you don't find that need and feel it, they'll think your stuff is cool and that it's great and you're awesome, but still never buy. Like, you still have to have that level of prioritizing for them.
Okay. Kim put in a comment that says, I love it. So if giving a recommendation is best, is it better to give one choice or multiple package options to clients?
If I'm listening, before I give, it's hang on, what do I want to say? I always think that it's important to give one recommendation. If they say no to that recommendation, you have to ask why, right? If they give you more information, you can change your recommendation. So like, let's say like this happened. So I had a person who does like sleep consulting for moms who have babies. And she's like, I said, okay, based on what you told me, I said, I would get you in on a 1 month consult for like $1,000, right? I was like, you're gonna need you're gonna need 30 days, $1,000, I'll help you. And she said, I can't do that. I can't do that. And I said, well, can you, like, is there any reason besides the money? And she's like, no, I just really only need your help for this, this, and this. Like, can we cut out all this other stuff? And I was like, okay, what I could do is I could give you this other offer, right? So like, you're positioning your recommendation based on what they said. And if they don't buy into that recommendation, you have to find out why. Because they're probably telling you, they probably haven't told you all the information. Does that make sense?
Actually, that is an excellent point. And I know really, like, because being I know Kim's a coach, being the coach or being the expert, like when you go to somebody for help, like you're expecting them to tell you what you need, right? Rather than them saying, okay, what do you want? Like, I personally feel like it's really a matter of the expert saying, okay, based on what you said, this is what I can help you with, and this is how I can help you. So basically, like, give one option and then readjust based on their feedback, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Oops, hang on. Imagine that you go to the doctor, okay? Like, the doctor doesn't have to tell you every step of how he's going to treat you. Like, he doesn't tell you the nuts and bolts of the surgery. You base your opinion of his authority on how well he understands your ailments, okay? That's the same thing that you're doing in sales. If you want to establish your authority, which is really important, you have to listen. And your clients have to feel like they're heard. And then based on what they said, you have to give an honest and ethical recommendation for how you would treat their issue, right? And if you, like, you're giving multiple choices, I bet, out of fear. You don't have to do that. You don't have to play all your cards all at one time. So get the information, and then if they're like, I don't know, like, if that's gonna help, ask them why they think that isn't going to help them. Get more information, and then either like show them how, like, what do they need to believe about your offer that's going to give them an aha moment where it's like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, yeah, now I'm logically justifying the purchase. Or if it's a money thing, then if it's another offer, you'll have to ethically justify that as well.
Okay, excellent points. I love it. Now let's see.
Good question, Kim. Yay, we have participants.
I know. Okay, so let's see. So you said you've been growing your business now for, I'm not sure, did you say 5 years? 6 years?
Yeah, I've been an entrepreneur for 6. I've been an entrepreneur for 6 years, but I've just had the sales coaching business for about 2 or 3. Can you guys get out? Go tell Dad. Out. Thank you. Out. Okay, they're good.
Nice.
Nice. Sorry, like John's supposed to be watching them, but
Oh, John.
we don't get it.
That's all right. Well, yeah, it's earlier for you, I think, right? You're on Central?
Yeah, it's only it's 7,
Okay.
so they're on their way to bed
Okay.
right now. So
So yes, so how has, like, since you've been in the entrepreneur world now for a few years, how has your tribe grown over time? Like, I know you have a Facebook group. I know you do all sorts of programs, and you've got like running, I think it's mentorship type of style stuff going.
yeah.
So how do you find your tribe has grown over the years?
Oh my gosh. It's been so good. Like it's crazy like how small the world feels through the internet.
Yes.
Like it's totally bizarre. Like this actually happened. So I met a guy like 5 years ago at a at an Infusionsoft conference in New York City. And he just like a small like networking 20 minutes before the event. I remember him because I remember his business name. And in a random thread, like he was in there talking about books that he recommended. And we had this exchange of like, hey, like I've read that book, like what do you think? And I was like, oh my gosh, like I know you, like we met. And so it's so crazy how small the internet feels. And it's allowed me to meet so many friends and so many people. Like every time John's like, what are you doing on the phone? I'm like, I'm talking to my friends. Like I'm talking to my friends that you don't know. So,
Yes, that's amazing. And I imagine
and it's
your ability
go ahead.
to make those connections has played a big factor in that, I'm assuming.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we can really connect with people on three fronts. We can connect with people based on experience, based on shared values, or shared sense of
Hmm.
humor. And so I've usually I try to establish that one of those 3 things with like everyone I meet, because that's the easiest way that you can build connections, is sort of in that like you too, me too sort of moment.
Okay. That's an excellent point. And yeah, usually where the like kind of best conversations start off with that at least one thing in common. So the parents, usually
Absolutely.
kids. I don't know about you, but happens a lot. Kim says, love this, ladies.
I can.
Oh, you can see, Shawna, you can read the comments?
Yeah, it says,
Okay,
love you ladies, got a jet.
excellent. Okay. Bye, Kim. Thanks for joining. Oh, and for anybody else on the line, drop hashtag replay if you're catching the replay, or let us know where you're calling in from, or I guess viewing from, because we'd love to hear how far this is reaching, because, well, you know, it's the internet. Who knows where it will go. So have you ever contemplated giving up in your business? Like, has that ever?
Oh yeah.
Of course.
Like every day.
Is there like one specific moment that that comes to mind, or like, because how do you get past it? Obviously, you're still working your business, you're still doing it, you're still making everything work. So
Yeah. I think that I really think that it's important to have a business coach. I do think that it's really important, that work, and I know that this is the work that you do, and so I just want you to know how valuable your work is, because if it weren't for people like you in my corner, I would give up like every week. Seriously,
oh, Shawna.
and this is what it means when we say like coaching. So like it's easy to be in your current situation, right? And when you're trying to build a business, you're trying to create something that doesn't exist yet. And that is really, really, really hard. And that is like spiritual work. And so it's you're constantly fighting this feeling of like it's to be safe and comfortable. So it takes so much work for you to stretch outside and create this work that you don't even know in like the first, like what I feel like years if it's even working, right? Like, does anybody notice me? Is this even effective? Does it even matter? So you're dealing with so much doubt. And what a coach does, and what Karina does, is she's going to come alongside of you and create this space for you to step into the person that you were meant to be. So this, like, hiring a coach like Karina is so valuable because she's literally helping you become the person that you're meant to be and keeps you accountable to that thing. So not only is like the action super important, but like the money that you invest in something like this is even more valuable because it's like, okay, I really can't. Now I can't really retreat, right? And so like every step along the way, from the payment to the task to the coaching, like all of it builds up and creates this point where, just like we said in the beginning, is that it's harder to stay than it is to move forward. And so now you just get into a place, for like myself, it's like I can't turn back now.
No, you can't.
It's like it's harder for me to, like, I can't stay
You've got
here.
too much good stuff in your head. Like, you have to share it. You have to share that with everybody. And I absolutely love what you put out there. And I don't know, I feel like if you're too shy, if you're too concerned about, you know, what if I fail, what if this, what if that, then you're not able to share your gifts with everyone. And maybe, who knows, you know, you're going to massively impact somebody else's life. And you're right. If you're too closed in your shell, I loved how you explained, like, how coaches help, you know, give you that space to step into that. It's a really good metaphor, because it's so true. It's really scary to take that leap, to get out of your comfort zone. But in reality, the further out you get, the bigger your comfort zone gets, and the more comfortable you get being uncomfortable. And that's really where you're going to see growth, and where you're going to expand and, you know, come to all these new possibilities, which is so much fun. I don't know about you, but I love it. Oh, and I just wanted to mention, well, through your connections, through your, you know, not giving up and continually pushing your message. I don't remember the name. I think it's Alt Summit, the conference that you're going to speak at. I just wanted to put that out there to say, like, I'm so happy for you, because that's amazing.
Thank you.
And
that was so
yes,
cool.
It's freaking amazing. So Shawna is, you can probably explain it better, but Shawna got voted in to do a conference at Alt Summit, if I'm not mistaken. Is it in California? Yep. Oh, that's amazing. So she will be on stage in front of thousands of people sharing her message. So Shawna, really so proud of you for that.
Thank you.
And yes, so let's just see. I had a couple of other questions for you.
While you're thinking about that, there was one thing that I was thinking about in terms of like feeling like I'm going to quit. I feel like when you have those moments of like, oh, do I just quit and throw in the towel? We start questioning like who we're helping, what we're doing, who's the message, like what's the message. But from a sales standpoint, when people aren't buying and you're struggling, it's almost always the offer. Like, people are just saying no to that offer. And so you've got to figure out how to package the offer, and that takes practice. It's like an invention. Like, your offer is like you're inventing something. And like,
love that.
Inventions take multiple inventions take multiple protocols, right? Like, they take models, lots and lots of models. And so when you're stuck and feeling like you can't quit, like, focus on the offer. The offer is almost always everything. Almost always, usually everything.
It's everything. Yes. Awesome. So I want to know, being a mom and taking care of your business, obviously lots going on for you. So I want to know, how do you take care of yourself? Like, is there anything that you do on a regular basis, or not regular basis, either way, to go and take care of yourself and make sure that you're, you know, at 100%?
That's a really good question. Not so much. I'm actually not very good at that. My mom was just telling me today to, like, she's like, you should just tell John that you got to do one thing a week. what do I do to really take care of myself? Well, my husband and I try to spend every Friday night together. We usually
Yes.
drink champagne,
Ooh.
and I usually cross stitch. We usually end up reading on the couch, and so it's really a chill
Okay.
evening.
Well, that
So that's
counts.
been something
That's definitely up
yeah,
there.
that's been actually like something that I really look forward to.
Mm,
So that's been fun for us.
amazing. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Very important to have that
What do
space.
you
Sorry.
do? What do you do?
I love exercise. I usually go at least once a week to a boot camp class. That's like
Oh,
what
sweet.
I do right now, which is not that much. I would love to go more, but time wise, not happening. Me doing it on my own, not happening. So yeah, for me, like once a week I do that, and I find there's less things now that I'm doing just for me, just because it's a lot going on. But that's definitely high up there on my list that I make time for.
Yep,
That's just
absolutely.
for me.
Good for you.
Yes. So, tell us what you've got going on in your business right now.
Well, right now, well, I kind of have two parts of my business, right? I have the do for you
Mm-hmm.
sales, which I take and field sales calls for people who need help selling their
Okay.
packages. And that part of my business is totally booked out. But I have a 6-month mentorship. It's kind of like a mastermind hybrid, but it's for people who want to create consistent sales, know where their next sale is coming from, and really make sales feel really good. So
Ooh.
that's 6 months. That's really awesome.
Yes.
There's a retreat included.
Ah.
There's the community. It's really going to be it's having like direct access to me without having to have more things on your plate or added to your schedule. So it's a really great program for people who are busy and just want sort of the thinking work taken out of their business, out of the sales
Oh, I love
process.
that. Okay. Does it have a start date or is a rolling start date?
It does, yeah. It's starting December 1st is the first
Oh,
round.
perfect. All right. Excellent. So anybody who's interested, get a hold of Shawna. I will be putting her contact info in this link, and it's in past posts as well. So where can we find you on social media?
I have a Facebook group called the Ask Exchange.
Yes.
Ask standing for Actionable Simple Sales. That is a really great place for us to hang out. But otherwise, I'm on Instagram and Twitter. So you just look for me as Hey Hey Shawna May.
Amazing. So have you got any last words for our guests that you want to leave them with?
Oh my gosh, we talked about so
I
many
know
good
we
things.
did.
I think that if I was to like leave parting wisdom to a mom boss, I think that it's really important that your definition of success doesn't come from a man
Hmm.
who doesn't have like like remote, like you guys don't have the same similar stories, like you don't. So make sure that you're defining success on your own terms, like literally, like how can you get through the day without resenting your family, and
Yes.
start treating your business like your extension of your life rather than having these like I'm literally at my kitchen table right now. Like like just do your best that you can with what
I
you've got.
love it. That's so important. And such a good lesson for
Mhm.
everyone to remember, because it may seem impossible at the time, but you can do it.
I just try to like throw everything out there. I hope that makes
Yes,
sense.
yes, I love it. And I love that you're sitting at your kitchen table. It's
Yeah.
amazing. All right. So thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for sharing. I
Yes.
absolutely love this conversation. And I know that our mom bosses will get a lot of value out of this. And if anybody needs help with sales, because really, if it's not your genius zone, go see Shawna. She's amazing. Go see Shawna. Join her Facebook group. Go to California and go see her. That would be so. I would love to do that. Might be a tad bit expensive, but who knows? We'll see.
It's a little ways away, but that would be really awesome.
Yes. So yes, thank you so much. And for everyone watching, I will catch you next week. We will be on with another amazing mom boss. And if you've got any questions that you are dying to know, drop them here. Shawna or I will circle back, answer anything you want to know. And yes, it was so nice to have you all. All right. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Bye-bye.